The hustle doesn't have to hurt. If performance pressure is making it hard to breathe, Grow Therapy helps you navigate stress, set boundaries, and actually feel like yourself again. Whether it's your first time in therapy or your 50th, Grow makes it easier to find a therapist who fits you, not the other way around. You can search by what matters, like insurance, specialty, identity, or availability, and get started in as little as 2 days. There are no subscriptions, no long-term commitments. You just pay per session. Grow helps you find therapy on your time. Whatever challenges you're facing, Grow Therapy is here to help. Grow accepts over 100 insurance plans, including Medicaid in some states. Sessions average about $21 with insurance, and some pay as little as $0 depending on their plan. Visit growtherapy.com/start now to get started. That's growtherapy.com/start now. growtherapy.com/start now. Availability and coverage vary by state and insurance plan.
Welcome to the Neurodivergent Experience podcast, a podcast where we share the lived experiences of neurodivergent people to help create a better understanding for our community.
Join us every week as we bring you honest, raw, and inspiring conversations with specialists, advocates, and individuals who know exactly what it's like to live the neurodivergent experience.
I'm Jordan James, a neurodivergent specialist, father of neurodivergent children, husband to a neurodivergent wife, and author of The Autistic Experience, and I'm joined by my best friend.
I'm Simon Scott. I'm an autistic ADHD broadcaster, actor, and advocate. Join us as we journey into unravelling the neurodivergent experience.
Welcome back, everybody. How you doing? I am very, very tired, and I've not been accommodating for myself. Scotty, how are you doing?
Do you know what, my friend? I'm actually very, very good. I have been trying to accommodate for myself. I don't know how successful I've been, but I will say I've just come back from a really busy trip, and I have a lot more energy than I normally would have done, so I'm taking that as a bit of a success. But yeah, I'm okay, my friend. It's nice to be back in the virtual booth with you. It feels like forever since we've just sort of had a normal episode that wasn't like a last minute one, or there's been so much breaking news recently, like with the Uta Firth shit show article, and then with like I Swear as well. So it's nice to return to the norm, as it were, for a regular show. But yeah, you're right. We're going to be talking about accommodations today.
Accommodations, legal accommodations, and just asking for accommodations that you would expect people to just be like, yeah, no, that sounds fine, rather than questioning every little thing because we don't look disabled. So it's a lot of it is about our invisible disabilities, something that obviously gets continuously overlooked.
Yes,
and but we are still part of the Equality Act of 2010, and we do need those adjustments. But we don't just need them in the workplace, which we can talk about. But obviously, on your trip, you have to make accommodations for yourself because you're part of a group. It's not like when you're just going on a holiday and you can be like, so when Sylvia and I are around, we just, oh yeah, we need this or we need that, and we make our own accommodations for ourselves. You have to ask often, people you don't know that well because it was part of a big group that you went on this trip with. You have to express yourself, and you have to talk about what you need to almost strangers, and that's hard.
Yeah, it was. So we'll get straight into the crux of the story and as to why I think it would be good to discuss this, because it's so fresh for me. I have just come back from a stag do where we flew to Milan and then got a 3.5-hour train to Rome. Spent a couple of days in Rome, and I think I did like 40,000 steps in 2 days, and then got the train back from Rome to Milan, which again was a 3-hour one. Had an evening in Milan, then had most of a day in Milan and flew back to Manchester. on Monday night and then had to get back from Manchester to Liverpool. So that is an awful lot of travelling, an awful lot of time on my feet. And again, I was with a group of guys who I knew most of. There was a couple of people there I was meeting for the first time. And ironically, they were the people I got on like the best with. But there was a load of guys there that I've known on and off for the best part of 5 years. A couple of them I've known for nearly 20 years. And it was interesting. I don't feel like I'm new to asking for accommodations now. I'm a lot better at it than I was, but I still feel like it's untested waters a lot of the time, especially with strangers and even more so with guys. It does feel a little odd to meet other men and then just be like, oh, by the way, and ask for some supports and accommodations. And the first one that appeared was the train from Milan to Rome. So we flew there, everything was fine, absolutely great. Got on the coach to the train station. Milan train station is the most breathtaking train station I've ever seen in my life. It's like a cathedral. And we get on the train, and there's 12 of us, but there's only 10 seats in our section, where 2 of the people were miles away. So 2 people essentially kept taking turns standing up. And it became very apparent to a couple of the people in the group that I wasn't doing my share of standing up on this train, and was trying to explain to them that, as I understand it, I think I've got EDS because my feet were going hard and the back of my calves were really sore and stiff. And I did do a bit of standing up, but I didn't do it as long as other people. And I don't know whether this was intentional, but I definitely did feel the energy of not doing my fair share of the standing. And I tried to talk to a couple of people about it, and some people were like, oh, that's absolutely cool, mate. I'm not that bothered. And a couple of people responded with, which to me is, oh, whatever, mate. Don't making excuses sort of energy. And it's really hard to explain to somebody about a disability that only you feel and they can't see.
Yeah, it's. I used to get this. I don't really get this anymore because of everything that I've achieved as an advocate and just being able to speak for myself for all these years. But I definitely would get it when I first got diagnosed as autistic, as this almost what's the word I'm looking for? Suspicion. There was like this suspicious attitude of, does he really, or is he just asking for it? And the thing is, I didn't really blame them. I wasn't like annoyed at them, because it's not like I've never felt like that. It's not like I've never thought, oh, well, how come that person's able to do that but no one else is? Because it is a very human thing to be visual, and to just not be able to see past what you're already seeing. So if somebody is blind and they've got sunglasses on and everyone else has got sunglasses on, so you don't know that that person's blind, and then you see that person maybe bump into something, or maybe like being, clumsy or whatever because they can't see. I'm not saying that that's what blind people do. I'm just giving an example.
Yeah.
If everyone else is wearing sunglasses and there's no other signs that that person is blind, then you don't know that person is blind. So if that person turns around and then says, oh, I need this to be done because I'm blind, people would be like, well, you don't look blind. So yeah, because he's looking like everyone else.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
But if you, as soon as you put a white stick in that man's hand, suddenly there's that visualization of, oh, that's what blind people look like. And it's like, well, no, that's what you think all blind people look like, because that's how you've been taught. That's how documentaries or movies or films or media in general, or, biases in your own brain. They're not going to be able to adjust super quickly.
Yeah.
So it's not the people I blame for having that quick reaction like I got in Heathrow Airport a few years ago.
Yeah, exactly.
With that man chasing me down because I shouldn't have been in the disability line because I didn't have a wheelchair, apparently. One, I blame how they approach that, but I more blame if you then get to know someone and then have a conversation with someone and then you're still dismissive.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's the problem that I find. And it's not like I haven't had that when I've had a conversation with someone and they're like, well, doesn't everyone do that?
Oh, I had a couple of those. I had a couple of those. And I also had a couple of moments where I felt like, and I feel like this is a societal bias. And ironically, when you think about EHCPs and how some parents look at other kids and go, well, why do they get special treatment? Yeah. I felt like I got a little bit of that.
It is a curse. And it was, I remember when I bought out my first book, A Little Different from the Rest, I had a SEN teacher contact me and even meet up with me. And we went for a walk. And this is what she wanted to talk about. Like she just wanted to have a chat with me anyway because she wanted to be a better teacher. This was her biggest problem. She was like, well, how do I approach that? I was like, tell them to fuck off.
I was thinking of how I could phrase that.
I
bit
wouldn't
in my
make
brain.
a good SEN teacher.
I'd get fired. That's literally where my brain went. I was like, just tell them to go fuck themselves.
Bugger off.
Yeah, and just to sort of paraphrase, like through the story, because we were doing a lot of traveling and we were implementing a lot of fun and games in the group, and I enjoyed this, but then, and it was also sort of my idea, this rule, and then when it came into place, I was like, oh, I've completely and utterly shot myself in the sore feet here. On the day when we were going back from Rome to Milan, we'd separated we had 2 Airbnbs, one that had 8 in and one that had 4 in. I instantly said, I want to go in the one that's in the 4. I want a quieter place. I want a place that I can go chill, that people aren't up till 4 in the morning doing drunken tomfoolery. Brilliant. No one batted an eyelid with that. But it meant that 2 groups were going towards the train station the next day. And I had jokingly referenced we should do Top Gear rules, which is if people aren't there for the thing, the group goes and the other people catch up. And the guys that I were with, 2 of them were like, we're not going to Milan, so we're going to go. And the other guy was like, I want to walk. I says, okay, no problem. I've got really sore feet this morning and my ankles are flared up and just all my tendons are just feeling a little bit raw, mix of dehydration, hangover and just tiredness. And I said, I'll get a cab. Jordan, I was stood there for 20 minutes and no Uber would pick me up. And I'm looking at the time ticking down and going, I cannot walk to get this train. And I do not feel comfortable travelling on my own from Rome to Milan. And I started to panic. I started to have a little bit of a meltdown. And the other guy that was in our group is so lovely. And I didn't really know him that well before, but I actually feel like we've become really good friends. And we had a lot of conversations about neurodivergence, and he's figured some things out about himself. I've never heard anybody talk about structural engineering quite like he did. I was like, there's something going on here. And his girlfriend's exactly the same. She's obsessed with motorbikes. I was like, there's a bit of tism here. And he was so generous with me in that I rung him up nearly in tears, and I was like, I'm not going to make this train. I'm in too much pain, and I can't get a cab, and I'm panicking. And he just went, don't worry, Si, I've got you. He came running back for me and managed to flag a cab down and got me in it and got me to the train station. And at no point did he lecture me or maybe you should have done this different. He just asked me if I was okay.
That sounds like his girlfriend's got a bit of a catch.
He's an absolute, honestly, he's such a catch. He's such a great guy. And when I got to the train station, I felt so embarrassed. And a couple of people were ribbing me about it, and he went, "Hey, guys, don't do that." He said he's had a rough morning. Don't make it worse for him.
Yeah, I've been the person that would do the ribbing, but more out of because I thought that when you're with blokes, that's what you're supposed to do.
And I think that's what was happening. Yeah,
it was like it's almost like it was like a masking thing of just me trying to fit in. And it's like, oh, that's at the expense of your feelings. And it was definitely a very blokey, stupid, childish thing to do. But it's that is another way of making accommodations, is thinking of how other people are feeling.
And that's one of the things that I struggled with later on in the trip, because we all, once we got to Milan, were placed in a group together. We were all staying together, and half of the group was sober. I was choosing not to drink anymore, and the others were, as I quote it, full sending it. They were like,
car parked.
Let's delete
hammered.
some beers. And they were absolutely hammered, and it didn't work for me. I felt like I just wanted a little bit of quiet and a bit of chill time. The Milan derby, AC Milan and Inter were playing each other. I couldn't get it up on the TV, and the group was just sort of split. And I was told and felt like the fun police. I was told I was being the fun police because I wasn't feeling regulated. And it was really hard trying to explain it to people that obviously are drunk and they're not hearing you. But even more so, a lot of the guys that were in this party that were drinking, I've known for over 16 years. And their idea of me is still who I was when I was 20, not who I am when I was 31. So I was trying to explain to them that I have these sort of things going on. And it wasn't that they said it, but I did feel the energy of, since when? Since when was this a problem? Since when did you become such a dad? Like, when did you stop being so fun? And that was hard to navigate because obviously I felt like RSD in the moment, but I also had a lot of justice sensitivity because I was like, you're being really selfish. There's a lot more people here than just you guys. And it was hard to navigate. And I love all the guys that I was with. I had a great time with them. But in that moment, I wasn't at my best. And it was because I was so unregulated. And it's hard to talk about when, one, people aren't necessarily in a good place to listen, but two, they don't know how to.
Yeah, that's a good point. Let's talk more about how to accommodate for ourselves, but how difficult we find it in the moment after the break.
Dreaming of getting the all-new iPhone 17 Pro designed to be the most powerful iPhone ever?
Then stay in bed and let a Boost Mobile expert deliver and set it up for you.
Oh, actually, they will have to get up and open the door.
Oh, right.
Delivery available for select devices purchased at boostmobile.com. Terms apply.
Knock, knock.
Ooh, who's there?
A Boost Mobile expert, here to deliver and set up your all-new iPhone 17 Pro, designed to be the most powerful iPhone ever.
You call that a knock-knock joke?
This isn't a joke. Boost Mobile really sends experts to deliver and set up your phone at home or work.
Okay, well, it's just that when people say knock-knock, there's usually a joke to go with it.
Like I said, this isn't a joke.
So the knock-knock was just you knocking?
Yeah, that's how doors work.
Get the new iPhone 17 Pro delivered and set up by an expert wherever you are. Delivery available for select devices purchased at boostmobile.com. Terms apply.
Have you ever felt stuck in patterns that don't serve you? Struggled with stress or wanted to connect more deeply with yourself? Then I have to introduce you to a friend of the podcast, Ashley Bentley of Integrated Coaching, Breathwork and Hypnotherapy. Ashley is a highly experienced clinical hypnotherapist and coach specializing in working with neurodivergent minds. Through a unique blend of integrative coaching, breathwork and hypnotherapy, Ashley helps people rewire subconscious patterns, regulate their nervous systems, step into more empowered versions of themselves. Whether you're dealing with addiction, anxiety, burnout, or struggles with self-acceptance, Ashley offers practical and science-backed tools tailored just for you. Her unique methods combine neuroscience, storytelling, and subconscious transformation to create real, lasting change. Jordan and I can personally attest to the profound and transformative effects of her sessions, which have been life-changing. She does all of these sessions online, meaning she can work with you no matter where you are in the world. If you're ready to break free from old patterns and start living with more clarity, confidence, and connection, go to bit.ly/AshleyNDE to book a free consultation or learn more. Welcome back to the Neurodivergent Experience. We have been discussing accommodating and how to ask for it and how to deal with it in the moment. I've been sharing some of my experience from my travels this past weekend, but Jordan, just before the break, you were discussing or bringing up how to advocate for yourself in the moment. Now, this is not easy for me.
Exactly, and I don't think it's easy for most people. I think when I'm feeling overwhelmed, I almost do it out of like grabbing the edge of the cliff as you're falling off. Like it's my last ditch attempt.
Okay.
And I think the worst thing is then if somebody doesn't understand, then I have to explain it to them. And I'm like, I don't have the energy. I don't have the energy for that. So normally I'm just like, it is what it is. Deal with it. And it can come across as, you know, I mean, I've been called aggressive, and I don't like that. I don't like being called aggressive. But at the end of the day, I was prone to a lot of meltdowns, which, you know, were aggressive meltdowns. So I used to snap if I, but again, it was more out of desperation than actual anger. Almost like if you're hanging off the edge of that cliff and someone goes to grab you and they're like, how are you feeling? You're like, just fucking get my hand, for God's sake. I'm just about to freaking die and you're having
really
a conversation with
me.
Energy
that for anybody.
Yeah.
No, I get
you
that.
wouldn't be like, oh, I'm fine. Everything's fine. Literally, it would feel like I'm hanging off a cliff and I'm just desperately needing
It's like
help.
a stewardess coming down as the plane's crashing and they go, would you like a parachute? Yeah, please.
Yeah, that'd be great.
It goes without saying. I totally get that. And this is the thing that I found difficult, and I'm sure you as a listener may agree with this as well. When I was taking myself off into the corner and was a bit quiet, and I have that thing where my face goes neutral and I look angry even though I'm not angry, I'm just zoning out, I give off an atmosphere, I give off a negative energy because I'm feeling negative, and that energy can come across as passive aggressive, especially when somebody comes up to you. It's like, oh, why? Come on, what are you moping for? Why are you being like this? My response in that moment, being alexithemic, wasn't, oh, this is what's happening. I'm not really vibing with what's going on and this and that and this and that. My response was, leave me alone, fuck off, which obviously doesn't help, but it's the only thing that could come out in the moment because I was just so overwhelmed. And I really wish I had the ability to just turn my overwhelm off to be able to communicate, because I know it doesn't, if anything, it makes it worse sometimes, because I look like I'm being a dick and being judgmental when really I'm just overwhelmed. And then somebody asks me if I'm okay and I go, well, what do you think? Fuck off. It's not exactly helping the situation, is it? But it's the only words I can get out in that moment because I want to be left alone and can't explain why.
I think this is why realizing early when you're going to need adjustments in your environment to avoid being overwhelmed, or just to be able to cope with the overwhelm, and just catching it in that stage before it gets too much. But that takes an extraordinary amount of self-awareness. It's something that I've particularly worked on. Like, so I knew exactly what was going on, and it took me years to figure out how to spot it in time. And how I look at it is I'm so different. We've discussed this with my temper. I'm so different when I'm driving. Like nowadays, if someone just pulls out in front of me, or someone's just an idiot, or someone, the roundabout thing where people cannot stick into a lane in the roundabout. They go from one lane to the other, and I'm like, it's a roundabout, just stay in the same lane around the roundabout. But all of these things, I look at them and just go, what a dick. And I don't ever get angry anymore. But even me this morning, when I'm driving home from work and someone pulls out in front of me, and I'm just like, well, that was a thing. And then someone else pulled out in front of me. And I don't mean it in front of me. I mean, I had to slam on my brakes in front of me.
Yeah.
If I have to slam on, not just gently caress the brake, slow down a bit. If I have to whack on the brake, you have pulled out in front of me very dangerously. 2 people did it. And I was like, for crying out loud, why can't people just drive anymore? And as I'm saying it, a white taxi does the same thing. And it was so bad because I was doing 50 in a 50, and he just comes out in front of me. I had to swing around him. Luckily, in the middle, there was that, there's like crossed lines.
Yeah.
and I had to swing around
At least
the
you had
cross
room.
line, and he came out of nowhere, like it was a golf club or something like that had like a hidden entrance, and he just came out in front of me. Just pulled out in front, and I had to swing around him. I've got it all on my dash cam. I didn't recheck it because of what I did after. I freaking lost my mind for the first time in God knows how long. I was like, I'm normally calm, and I didn't do it at him. But what I did do is I immediately, as soon as I got in front of him, I slowed down really much. I slowed right down, not as like to punish him, not because of any other reason. I just wanted him to know what he just did, like swinging around him wasn't enough. But I was pissed, and I wanted him to know that. And normally I just don't care, but I was so sick of it. And taxi drivers really do my head in because they should know how to drive, and they freaking don't.
They're on the road more than anybody.
They think
should
they
know,
own the road, and that really pisses me off. And oh God, and I did it, and then I saw a car coming up behind him, and I went, well, I'm not going to ruin his day. And then I just started moving at a normal pace. But I did swear, but my back window is blacked out. So it doesn't make any difference.
It was just you flipping the bird to nobody.
He can see nothing. My windows are blacked out at the back, and so he's seen nothing. But I was swearing, I was angry. It lasted 5 seconds, maybe 10. And that is the first time I've lost it. And I didn't feel that building up, but I know it's because I'm tired. I was on my way home from a night shift, and then I can go through the reasons what happened, how to avoid it next time. But sometimes you just can't avoid those things. But nowadays I am better at understanding and knowing about a meltdown and how it's going to build up. And I do make accommodations, and I do explain those to people. But it's so hard to do it in the moment. It's practically impossible.
Yeah, it is. And one of my things that I tried to do to preempt it, and I ended up choosing not to do this, is I looked at getting myself my own hotel. Like, I looked at just finding a hotel room that was further in town.
Yeah.
And the only reason that I didn't was because of the reaction that it would get. I was really worried about how I would affect myself socially if I was like, right, I'm going to take myself away from this and have
essentially
get a
you're
hotel.
Ostracizing yourself from the group, which isn't always advantageous.
Exactly. And I was really sat in between that of going, I'm really struggling in this environment, but if I take myself out of it, that will have a consequence that I think may be worse than what I'm dealing with right now. So I ended up almost being in between like a rock and a hard place and just sort of having to power through it. But it is hard. It is really hard. And you know, we've discussed sort of social settings, but you've experienced this very recently with work. Yeah,
I was doing training in London. I did a post about how much I hate trains, but only travelling. I love a steam train. Love a Thomas the Tank Engine. Not so fond of the electric ones. Definitely not fond of them when they're heading towards London. And definitely not fond of them when they're heading towards London on a Tuesday morning when they would jam pack. It was like a 7 o'clock train, and it was a 7 a.m. train.
Like a cattle cart.
Oh, dude, it was terrible. I managed to get a seat in the corner next to a window, next to a very nice lady. And I just put my headphones on and I just stared out the window, and that was all right. That worked okay. But it was still very busy. I got a lot of anxiety. I had a colleague with me who lives nearby, and we got the train together. And I suspect very highly that he is neurodivergent, but he was making sure I was okay. And which was really, really lovely of him. And I felt like I want to give him my seat because he had to stand, and it wasn't just standing, he got crushed. Like there were so many people standing. There was so many. I was like, if I looked at him, I was getting anxiety looking at him, let alone if I was him, I would have had to physically move people out of the way, which I have done. And I'm not afraid to do. I am not a small person. I'm not afraid to use my size and strength
Put your elbows out a little, yeah.
to create, and I have my very mean, angry dad face, and I've got my toes flying. I'm not afraid to go a little bit primal, and just be like, born over brain. But I was sat in the corner, I was looking at him, and he is such a gentle person. Like, he does not have that demeanor. He is a very sweet, gentle, older man, and he was just squashed. And I felt so bad for him. I kept having to look away, which was even worse because he was trying to give me eye contact, like, hi. And I was like, oh. God, and I was just looking out the window. And we were on our way to London together, but we weren't together at all.
You just feel guilty, don't you? You just feel like you've abandoned him.
When I got there, I was like, dude, I'm so sorry. He was like, yeah, it was really bad. And I was like, oh, no.
You always hope that they go, oh, it was fine. But when they go, oh, yeah, it sucked ass. And you're just like, oh.
Oh, God. I mean, I'm nice to him anyway because he's very sweet. But I was like extra nice to him.
Yeah.
There's a few people that aren't as nice to him because he's very quiet. So they called him boring, and I'm just like, he's not boring.
Yeah.
He's a very, very sweet man, and I think that's not common. Even if someone's quiet, it doesn't mean they're nice. You know, they could be plotting evil vendettas
like a
and
serial
stuff.
killer in the corner.
Yeah, but I have a neurodivergent lens, and I see everything through a neurodivergent lens. So even if it's a neurotypical, I'm wondering what's happening. You know, if they're acting a certain way, is that because of something else? Maybe, and I know we talk about neurodivergence, and we talk about it as a born thing most of the time, as something you're born with, which is, you know, ANT, the alternative neurotype. That's mostly what we focus on. But there are neurotypical born people that become neurodivergent, you know, by its original meaning, with brain injuries, PTSD, also, you know, all sorts of things, you know, can cause a very different acting brain. And I want to bring them into our family. You know, I want to be accepting of them into our neurodivergent experience because they are part of it. You know, those people are valid to be part of that neurodivergent experience. It's about being different. It's about being treated differently. And it's about needing support and needing accommodation. And accommodation isn't just for us being born like this. You know, it's for everyone. So I don't know how he's neurodivergent. I just know that he is. But I haven't had those discussions with him. I just know in this moment, I felt his panic. I felt it from where I was sitting. It's that like weird hive empathy thing.
No, I know exactly what you mean.
But at the training, it was nice because obviously everybody knows that I am who I am. And I don't mean just that I'm neurodivergent. They all know that I've got the book and I've got the page and the photography, and they know about this podcast. Hey, if you're listening, they know everything about me because I tell them and I disclose it. You know, I'm not sneaky about it. I'm very, very proud of everything that I've achieved, and they're very, very nice to me. I do wonder sometimes, are they very, very nice to me because I'm Jordan James, or are they very, very nice to me because I'm employee Jordan James? Sometimes I do feel that I get special treatment because of who I am, not because of my conditions. Now, I advocate, and I've tried to massively advocate at my work for other neurodivergent employees, most of which are grizzly old security officers who, it doesn't matter whether I am or not, blah, 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 blah. Very, very stubborn people that I've met, very obviously neurodivergent people. And the only time I've ever, and I say this with the greatest pride, the only time I've ever seen the cracks in their neurotypical masking is when they speak to me. And people just become themselves around me because of how accommodating I am. And I know for a fact, I'm a manager and I have a team, and I know for a fact that members of my team are neurodivergent and they know they're neurodivergent, but the company does not. So I'm in this room doing this training with this trainer, and I know that at least 3 to 4 people, including my colleague that I came up with, are neurodivergent. I'm the only person in that room that is getting accommodations. I was allowed to play with my toy. I was very active in the training, but I had a toy and I was playing with my toy all the way through. And though no one else is doing that, but I was massively taking part. I never once looked at the trainer except to ask him things. But when I was doing the talking, when I was participating, when I was giving my opinion on things, like I said, very, very super ADHD active in the training, I'm playing with a toy the whole time. Nothing is said. Nothing. Oh, could you put that down?
No one's judging you, giving you looks. They know they can't.
Yeah, I mean, it would be hilarious if they dared to.
Yeah, exactly.
But even my colleagues, completely, they're just, it's fine. In fact, one point, it was like a small little plastic mini basketball that I was playing with, and we were talking about active listening, and I said, yeah, but not everyone actively listens by looking. And the trainer's like, oh no, I know that. I know about you, Jordan. And I was like, yeah, but
all right,
you know about me, but what about the people you don't know about?
Again, it comes down to that thing of it focuses on diagnosed, not the self-diagnosed. Yeah,
exactly. So there are other people that might have needed that accommodation, but they wouldn't have done it because of they're trained in society that you can't do that. But I will do whatever I like at work, and I don't mean that as in I want to get away with things. I mean I will just be myself. If I need something, I will just have it. So I needed to leave the room, and the trainer was like, no, that's absolutely fine. So I got up and I went out and I just relaxed because like the training was, there's a lot of people in one place, and I just went outside for a little bit, went and, put water on my face, and I went back in and carried on with the training and things like that. I will just do. But it's because I have that piece of paper, because I'm able to advocate for myself, then I get accommodations. And it shouldn't be like that. People should need to be able to spot neurodivergence. And I know that's probably sounding very like, not everyone can, but I would have thought that people in workplaces should. And in my experience, they accommodate for me, but there doesn't really seem a lot of accommodation in other places.
No, I get that. It's almost like they have the training, and obviously it's like 2 hours seminar or something like that in some places.
No, it was an 8-hour day.
Oh, see, I've never had any neurodivergent training in any workplace I've ever worked.
Oh, the neurodivergent training. So I thought you meant my training.
Oh, sorry, no.
No, my training was 8 hours.
Jesus, that'd fry my brain. But yeah, I've never really had any sort of neurodivergent training in it, and it's hard, isn't it? Because you shouldn't just be accommodating for the people that have the piece of paper. You shouldn't offer a lift to somebody, to only the person that's in the wheelchair. It's like we were saying with the blind people. If everyone's wearing sunglasses, do they also need a stick and a guide dog to be recognised as blind and to be given accommodations? Or do you have to have all of the hallmarks before it's recognised? And I had this when I was away. I had a lot of discussions with people, and I had one conversation with one guy at length for a really long time about neurodivergence and what I do for a living and this show and the conversations I have with you listeners. And he turned to me and he said, I have never met anybody who has qualities in a human being that you do. He says, you're just such a kind person, and you've been so accommodating to everybody. And he says, you're so incredibly authentic. And all of these things are things I have never thought about myself. I've had to really work on all of that.
It's the reason I let you into my inner circle, my friend.
Yeah, and it's been so rewarding to feel it and to see it in action. And yet at the same time, I have, you listeners message me and tell me all of these things that I like about myself now and I feel really good at. And yet at the same time, I have this show and the clout I have and all of this experience, and there were still people that were in front of me I could not accommodate with. I couldn't communicate with and couldn't get it out properly. And even though I have the experience and the terminology I was explaining EDS to somebody, he was like, I don't know about that. Just regardless, even though I explained it, and my sort of response was, I didn't realise that you had a degree in, these sorts of things and you understand it. And it's amazing how you can still have all the language and explain it to people and still even have the diagnosis, and other people go, if you just tried suffering, if you just tried maybe just trying a bit harder or not being lazy. And it's crazy how that still happens, even though we have all of the information that we know. Sometimes it all depends on the person that's in front of you and who you're speaking to. It is very, very hard to navigate, especially when your justice sensitivity kicks in.
Yeah, absolutely. Should we have one more break and then close it off when we come back?
The hustle doesn't have to hurt. If performance pressure is making it hard to breathe, Grow Therapy helps you navigate stress, set boundaries, and actually feel like yourself again. Whether it's your first time in therapy or your 50th, Grow makes it easier to find a therapist who fits you, not the other way around. You can search by what matters, like insurance, specialty, identity, or availability, and get started in as little as 2 days. There are no subscriptions, no long-term commitments. You just pay per session. Grow helps you find therapy on your time. Whatever challenges you're facing, Grow Therapy is here to help. Grow accepts over 100 insurance plans, including Medicaid in some states. Sessions average about $21 with insurance, and some pay as little as $0 depending on their plan. Visit growtherapy.com/start now to get started. That's growtherapy.com/start now. growtherapy.com/start now. Availability and coverage vary by state and insurance plan.
Melasma, aging skin, menopause symptoms, hair loss.
These conditions can make you feel like you're not yourself. Muesli can help. Traditional healthcare often dismisses these conditions, but Muesli connects you with board-certified doctors who prescribe customized treatments so you can overcome them. Order in just 3 minutes, 100% online, and have it delivered to your door. Feel like yourself again. Visit Muesli.com/podcast and use code podcast25 for 25% off your first order. Muesli. Look good, live better.
Welcome back to the Neurodivergent Experience. We've been discussing accommodating for yourself, asking for accommodations, recognizing that others need it. But Jordan, you have a lot of information on this and a better understanding than I do. There's a lot of this that's within law.
Well, yeah, I mean, to be fair, most of the accommodations I need, they're not like directly covered by law. It's more of the fact that because I'm like, okay, I need a stim toy, that sort of thing. So the training I was doing on Friday, it was completely different training, but again, I'd had to go on the train to London. I accommodated for myself by leaving on an earlier train, which was much less busy, much, much better. I got into London when it wasn't as busy. I then went for a nice coffee and I chilled out, and I was accommodating for myself rather than getting just on time and then rushing to the training. I acclimatized myself to the area. But it was also better because I'd been there, a few days before, even though that was my first time. I was walking around like I was a pro. I was like, yeah, I'm a London pro now. And those sorts of accommodations, they're ones that you have to make for yourself, but there are legal ones your company, by law, have to make. And this goes for anyone. And you have to make these if you have a company. And obviously it comes from the Equality Act 2010, which is it's primary UK legislation protecting people in Great Britain from disability discrimination in work, education and services. So it's a very handy thing to have. It's not something I take advantage of. I don't go, well, I've got this disability, so I can do this, this, and this. I try my best to do everything everybody else is doing and everything I'm asked of. But sometimes my disabilities stop me and I do need protection, or I have done in the past. I remember other jobs where I wasn't diagnosed neurodivergent, And I used to get bollocked all the time for messing up, like getting numbers wrong, spelling wrong. I mean, bloody hell, man. Seriously, why does it matter how something's spelled? But I used to get bollocked all the time for stuff like that. And obviously I had no idea that, I just used to think, oh my God, what the hell's wrong with me? Blah, blah, blah. Self-hate. But these things are to protect us from these things. It is sad that we have to have a piece of paper. Even sadder that the government are making it even harder for us to get that piece of paper. But, essentially we are disabled, and that's the two sides of that coin that I'm always talking about: disability and ability. On a train, going to London, doing training in a busy ass building. I mean, my building has, not that many people in. It's a separate out of London building that I work in. It's much, much smaller. This building has like 6,000 people in.
Wow.
It's crazy. It's huge.
That's a
Absolutely.
lot of people.
It's like a mecca. It's huge, this building that I had to go to. It also mandates reasonable adjustments, which is what we're talking about, to ensure accessibility, covering physical or mental impairment with substantial long-term negative effects on daily life. It's literally us. We do have that. I personally have physical and mental disabilities that obstruct me from doing things like other people. And they're individual to me. They're not the same for everyone, which is why I have that problem of just saying, oh, autism is a disability. And I'm like, well, okay, but how? Because it's not disabling me like it is you. It's not disabling you like it is other people. You can't just say autism and then leave it there. You have to be more specific. The reason it exists is it covers employment, education, housing, transport, and access to goods and services like shops, banks, hospitals, things like that. It covers, like we said, physical, mental impairments, mostly long term, because obviously you could turn around and say, well, a pregnant woman is disabled. And it's like, well, yeah, she does need accommodating for, absolutely, but not in a long term period. So the Disabilities Act doesn't cover someone who's temporarily disabled. Like my son has just had his ACL, torn ACL fixed. Bless him. He's only 24, for God's sake.
At least he's young enough for it to.
Yeah,
he's still got elastic and magic in his blood.
Yeah. It was a football injury. He got really badly tackled. It just damaged him. But yeah, but it's like, well, it covers him for his neurodivergence, but it does not cover him for his leg. But it came about because of discrimination. Direct discrimination, indirect discrimination, victimization, things like that. Because and I still think this happens today. There is ableism. It does exist.
Oh God, yeah.
Like I definitely believe a few years ago I was looked over for a particular promotion I was looking for because I'm autistic. I absolutely think that was the reason, because there was no other reason given. Because before they knew I was autistic, I was on the track for this particular promotion. And then after I told people I was autistic, suddenly people weren't as interested. It turns out that I wasn't right for that role anyway. And I probably would have struggled, and I would have actually had to go to London every day to do that role. So I was actually
blessing in disguise. Yeah,
I wasn't understanding my own accommodations. I definitely, and it wasn't people that I work with now. It was previous management. Definitely felt like I was discriminated against. But
I mean, I've experienced it at work before I realised I was neurodivergent or have been neurodivergent. I got called the R word at work once for making a mistake.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I've banned that word. I mean, people used to say that word at my work and I banned it. I was like, nope. I was like, if I want to call myself that, that's fine. I don't like that word. I think it's gross. But I can't have other people saying that word. And they weren't even saying it about me. They were actually saying it about other people. In fact, one person had a nickname for another person and that was their nickname. And I'm like, that can't be a nickname.
It's not good.
So I asked that person who was being called the R word, I was like, does that bother you? And they were like, yeah, it does. So I was like, right. So I went to the other person and I said, you can't call them that. They don't like that. And they're like, oh, that's because they're the R word.
Oh.
And I went, right, that's it. Enough of that. I love being in charge. I get to stop things like this.
That's the thing
I'm
that's
just
hard
like,
though
no
in
more.
like social situations is I have heard that said in groups of friends. I've heard people say it when I've like in front of the bar, when I've worked behind the bar. There have been times I've bit my tongue. There are times I have not bit my tongue. But it's hard when you're not in a position of power to tell somebody to stop doing that or else. Yeah, it's really, really not easy. And again, this sort of in everything that we've been discussing, you really hope that the people that are in positions of power that can hold people accountable, and it's non-negotiable accountability, that they step in for you and accommodate for you. Like you being able to go and protect that person at your work by going, this is not right, stop doing it. Like you just really hope that somebody has the gumption to go and do that on your behalf. It's upsetting, isn't it, when you can't do it for yourself and people, you do it, you ask people to stop and they just double down.
Yeah, I think that because of the type of social disabilities that we have, it becomes such a difficult thing to be able to stand up and say, look, I need this, I need that, I can't do this, or I can't do that. And I think that it really is down to people who are in charge to recognize and ask. That's the thing that companies need to do, is they need to ask. They say, how can we accommodate? And that is what the trainer did when on the Tuesday I went for a management, like a management top-up training thing. And he literally said, how can I accommodate? Rather than, I'll just, I'll tell you what you can and can't do. It's asking that question. And I think that the responsibility then lies on us as disabled people to be like, okay, well, I'm not gonna push this. I'm going to ask for the things that I need rather than the things that I want. I do think there is a difference, because I want to not do all the work that I do because sometimes I feel overwhelmed by it. Yeah. Sometimes it's a lot of work, and sometimes I just don't want to do it because it's like I find it so hard to do. So it's not I don't want to do it because I don't want to do my job. It's like it's really hard to do, and the PDA kicks in, and it makes it so much harder to actually do my job, and that's paperwork. Paperwork I find extraordinarily hard to do, even though it's very simple and I've been doing it for 18 years. I still find it hard because I'm always worried about making mistakes. I'm always concerned about messing up or getting it wrong or forgetting something. So I'd rather just not do it. But I can't ask that accommodation. It's like, oh, someone else do the paperwork for me. And it's like, well, no, that's what you get paid for. That's your job.
If it's your job, it's your job.
My favorite part about management is man management and people and helping other people do their job. I really, really like that. I'm really good at that. But when it comes to actually doing the paperwork for my job, I struggle with that so much. But that's the thing. The accommodation I actually asked for, I said, if I do make a mistake, just point that mistake out and give me the chance to fix it. Just say, oh, by the way, this is wrong. Can you just fix it? Don't jump down my throat. I need a little bit of compassion, a little bit of patience. That's all I ask for. And so far, I'm getting it.
Well, that's great news, man. I'm really pleased to hear that. Well, I don't know about you, but I'm feeling fresh out of spoons on this conversation. If you're one of our many, many, many US listeners, how does it differ for you compared to the UK? I'm intrigued to see how you would ask for accommodations in a very different working environment. And how do you accommodate you for yourself? If you're on Spotify, get us in the comments, or if you're on Jordan's page, comment under a post below that's referenced in this episode. We would absolutely love to hear your opinions on this. Well, it's Neurodiversity Week, which is what we're going to be covering in our hot topic that comes tomorrow. And as always, Ashley will be with you on a Monday. Start your week with purpose with Mindful Mondays with Ashley. Take care of yourself, everybody. Be kind out there. Be lucky.
Nightly bye.
Thanks for tuning in to the Neurodivergent Experience. We hope today's episode sparked something for you, whether it's a new idea, a bit of validation, or just a moment of connection. Remember, new episodes are every week, so be sure to join us for the next one for more conversations and insights into the neurodivergent experience. If you've enjoyed this podcast, help us grow. You can do that by rating and reviewing this show. Your support makes a huge difference in helping us reach more people who could benefit from these conversations. You can connect with us on social media. Find us on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. Just search for the Neurodivergent Experience. Thank you again for listening, and until next time, take care of yourself. You're not alone in this journey.
Melasma, aging skin, menopause symptoms, hair loss.
These conditions can make you feel like you're not yourself. Muesli can help. Traditional healthcare often dismisses these conditions, but Muesli connects you with board-certified doctors who prescribe customized treatments so you can overcome them. Order in just 3 minutes, 100% online, and have it delivered to your door. Feel like yourself again. Visit muesli.com/podcast and use code podcast25 for 25% off your first order. Muesli. Look good, live better.